Hello and welcome to a Spoilercast for Thor Ragnarok. Today, I'm Logan Anstead, joined by...
Brandon Diaz.
And Billy Glang.
Alright guys, we're going to start, as always, with a quick 5-minute-ish, spoiler-free review of the movie. Billy, what did you think of Thor Ragnarok?
I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It is probably one of my top half favorite of the Marvel films.
Top half favorite.
Top half favorite. That came out really weird. But... that's saying a lot because most of these Marvel movies have been very good.
There's a lot of Marvel movies.
Exactly. So this being in the top half for me is pretty high praise.
Where do you see... What movies do you see that are above this in the Marvel universe?
For me personally, the last two Captain America movies.
Gotcha.
Both of the actual...
Really?
Both.
Even Age of Ultron?
Well, those are Avengers and
Oh, true. Well,
but I like Age of Ultron.
He's talking about Civil War and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Civil War, Winter Soldier, then the original Avengers, Age of Ultron,
always
and
forget.
then probably the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if there's another one that I'd definitely put ahead of it.
All right. Well,
Logan?
that's a good synopsis.
I guess Logan isn't technically like a Marvel movie, but it's still like part of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about
Strictly Marvel movies?
Yeah, strictly MCU movies.
Okay, that's
Brandon,
fair. That's fair.
Where do you place it? What did you think of Thor?
Ooh, I think as of right now, the only thing that would be ahead of it is probably Captain America: Winter Soldier,
Gotcha.
because it was an incredible movie, and you guys will find out why a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it was thoroughly entertaining. I thought it was first off, I was dying in my seat at multiple moments.
Hilarious.
I was literally
One character mostly.
Korg would do that. We'll get a little more into him later. Korg actually voiced by the director of Thor Ragnarok. I'm gonna butcher his name, so I'm not even gonna say it. But director and voice actor for Korg. Highly entertaining movie. Honestly, though, not one of my favorites.
Really?
Yeah, it just wasn't. When I was thinking about it, I was
get out of here.
Stop it. I thought it was thoroughly it was an entertaining movie. Is this something that I'm going to go out and buy and rewatch a bunch of times? Probably not.
Yes.
But
Sure.
then again, for me, most Marvel movies are kind of like that, where it's like, oh, let me go through this. Thor Ragnarok was a lighthearted romp. It was the Uncharted it was the Uncharted 4 of the Thor series. I feel like it was kind of like that penultimate thing of like, hey, this is the third Thor movie. Thor movie. Jeez. Thor movie. We fully embrace the wackiness of it. I mean, Jeff Goldblum is in there. He
did a fantastic job, by the way.
We got this Korg character. Thor gets his hair cut off and Hulk's in there. He's like, yeah, I know him from... Like, they fully embraced every crazy, witty, weird aspect of Thor. And I truly appreciate that. Is it one of my top films of the year? Not necessarily. But is it definitely going to work? Is it worth watching? For sure. Mm-hmm. So, all right. So, out of 5 sales, Billy, what do you give Thor Ragnarok?
I'm gonna split the difference and say 3.75.
Oh my god!
Because I couldn't decide between 3.5 and 4, so I'm just splitting the difference.
All right, Brandon.
I'd give it a solid 4. There are some things that I felt like didn't belong in the movie, but overall, I thought it was a great movie.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a solid 3 out of 5, like a very strong 3 out of 5, almost a 3.5 out of 5.
So like a 3.25.
No, because I'm not trying to.
A 3.1.
It's 0.5 increments. It's 0.5
or 2.9.
Anyway. All right, so now we're going to get into our spoiler warning. This is our spoiler warning.
Spoilers.
Spoiler warning. You have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Korg. My God, that's a funny character.
You might have been the best part of this film.
I thought he was because
I don't know if he was the best part.
It's him and Jeff Goldblum's pretty darn good as well.
He was great though. Like his voice did not match his description. At all.
Hey guys,
depiction.
we're gonna go right on this ship.
He was 100% a Kiwi.
Yeah.
Straight out of New Zealand. And
Absolutely.
he had that voice to match, and it was incredible.
Taika Waititi, or whatever is how you pronounce his
yeah.
name. I think that's an okay pronunciation.
Wait, who was that?
That's the director and the guy who voice acted for Korg.
Oh, okay.
So
That was a character from the movie. I was like,
No.
I don't remember him. Sounds like a name that would be Norse.
Korg's character, and then first off, Stan Lee's cameo was fantastic.
Those are usually pretty good.
The hairdresser part where he's just like, no.
Future rest in peace, Stanley.
Oh man, why you gotta?
They already finished filming all of his cameos.
I know
because
they're worried he's gonna die. I get it.
He's on the doorstep.
He's on the doorstep.
Yeah.
But you know what? A lot of us are on the doorstep from time to time. I hope Stan Lee stays on the stoop like a stoop kid and is a cool kid.
That was really dark. All
that
that
was
on the doorstep.
Anyway.
We're going to review a lighthearted Thor movie.
Speaking of lighthearted, the Grand Master Jeff Goldblum, him and Korg made this movie for me. They made the movie what I appreciated it for, which was this comical, lighthearted romp.
And his guard, Topaz, I think that was her name. She was like deadpan, but in the funniest way possible.
Their back and forths were hilarious. Like the scene with where he's talking to Loki.
And Loki
interrupts him, and she immediately wants to kill him, and he's like, "We can't just kill him for interrupting. That's not a capital offense." It's like,
the staff that just like melted people. He's like, "Oh, that smells so bad. That smells so bad."
Thor's like freaking out next
to I'm stepping in it.
When Thor's first being introduced to Sakaar in the Colosseum, and he's going through the place, and he's like screaming, and he's like, no, and then he just ends up in the middle of the people, and he's like,
no. Just the introduction of Thor when he's sitting in that chair and he's riding into like the Grandmaster's palace, and it's just like this really shitty space mountain ride. Like I was just like, what is this movie?
It felt like something straight out of Disney World.
Yeah, it was
great.
It was fantastic. Like there were just constant moments like that, and every interaction between Thor and when Hulk was the Hulk was just hilarious.
I think this was a good like debut of what Chris Hemsworth is able to do as like a comedy actor, because he delivered the comedic lines well while trying to be like a serious character, and I think it fit him well.
I'd say it's such a different Thor character than we had in the first two movies. He's so much more serious in the first Thor and then the Dark World, and in this film he's almost making a mockery of himself in a way. And
I hope they stick with that. I hope they stick with that, because
I like this.
For some characters it works, but for Thor, I think being too serious for himself, like he takes himself too seriously in the earlier Thor films, and the like team up films. So I think this lighthearted version of him.
I want Thor to continue on this same type of tone for the movies. Like come together, have a more serious thing if you really need to. Like Civil War was like a reasonably dark movie for the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
and he wasn't even in that movie for like a good part of it. He was just kind of lurking around.
Infinity War is probably going to be very dark because you're talking about like the end of like planets and stuff like that. So I understand that, but when you have Thor individual movies, like if you're going to keep with this pace, keep it this tone, because it was absolutely great for the Thor series, and it was just a great break for Marvel movies in general.
I don't know, is there supposed to be another Thor movie? Because I don't think we've had any characters like solo movies go past a trilogy.
I don't know if we have anything confirmed yet. Have we gotten a full Phase 4 yet? Or
I don't know, but I know we don't have anything past Iron Man 3 or Captain America 3.
True.
The only ones we have past 3 are obviously Avengers movies.
That being said, if we see it, definitely keep that the way it is. Let's talk a little bit about
let's hit some
Odin.
main points here.
The death of Odin in this. What did we think of the way they kind of ushered him out of this?
I feel like it was like it didn't fit the tone of the movie.
Yeah,
it felt like too serious and somber. Although that topic would have to be serious and somber because it's like the father of Norse mythology, just like dispersing into golden dust into the wind. It was all right, but it felt like it didn't belong in the tone of the movie.
I don't know. I feel like if I have one issue with this movie, it's that some of the more serious moments were kind of taken away from because of the comedy. Yeah. And I feel like you get that with Odin's death. And this is, I think, the first movie that's truly done that. Like, even with Guardians of the Galaxy, even though it's a straight up a comedy movie, you still get those serious moments and you still let them breathe. That's the one thing I don't think this movie did, was necessarily let those moments breathe. So while Odin's death was, I think, well done to an extent, I don't think they let it breathe enough and really let it be what it is, because this is an important character throughout the Thor trilogy. Yeah.
My biggest issue was, like, in the timeline of events, you see Odin fade off into dust, or basically, he fades off into dust, and then 2 minutes later, Thor is literally landing on Sakaar in the trash planet, and then you have this crazy scene where the girl just like walks out of her, Valkyrie walks out of her ship drunk and just falls over, and it's like this comical thing. I was like, didn't like a main character in this entire movie thread die 2 minutes ago?
The pacing throughout Thor was all over the place. That was one of my complaints about the movie, is that the pacing, it was like sometimes you'd be having like this slow moment where you need time to like think about it, and then it would just speed up right into a drunken Valkyrie falling out of a ship, shooting up a bunch of trash scavengers.
And that's part of the reason why I like didn't give it as high of a score as like I've given other things. It's just like I love the overall tone of this movie, but like it did not do a good job of transitioning between those. Like,
I mean, I don't think there's enough instances for it to really affect the movie as a whole, but there's like 2 or 3 moments where I felt like we needed to spend more time on something.
Yeah. The ending scene with Carl Urban's character, the Executioner,
Scourge.
or whatever, Scourge. his ending scene where he comes out with like the M16s or whatever.
Dude, with Des and Troy.
Yeah, and so like that was like a mix of like it was funny at the beginning and then it was like sad because like you knew he was immediately going to die.
He redeemed himself and I appreciated that.
Yeah, but
although Carl Urban's character in general felt like he didn't belong in the movie.
It felt tacked on, and then that scene was so predictable. Like you knew exactly what was going to happen from the very beginning of the movie. Like, oh, this guy's going to side with her, then he's going to regret
I wish
it.
he would have just betrayed them whole way, but like he was an Asgardian first, so he's not going to really just betray his people.
That's something that they emphasize in the movie as well with Valkyrie as well, being an Asgardian first, and Asgard being a people, not a place. That's definitely an emphasis of this film, is Asgard as one.
What do you mean America?
America. We're all Americans.
We're all a people, not a place. You got to get that in your head, son.
So when never mind. I'm just gonna say something. I'm just gonna avoid that.
Diverging off, what did we think of Hela and her character overall?
Ooh. The design felt a little weird. She was just wearing like spandex and then like it looked like a plastic helmet.
Welcome to Marvel movies.
I mean, well, Thor, like the rest of the outfits in the movie looked all right, but like Hela just felt like the outfit felt a little out of place. But the character was good.
Understandable.
I know a little bit about Norse mythology. I've been reading up on it lately. I feel like they displayed her ruthlessness and her craziness pretty well.
Billy?
Cate Blanchett did a fantastic job. However, I feel like Hela has the same problems that a lot of Marvel villains have. I don't see her as a very three-dimensional character.
Yeah.
I see her almost as, oh, hey, you have a sister. Oh, hey, she's super evil and she's going to try to take over Asgard. Stop her. Like, you know, and I feel like that's been the biggest problem with the MCU, and I feel like Hela continues that, even though Cate Blanchett was fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, and I felt like at times in the tone of this movie, she was a little too serious. Like they made fun of her seriousness, right? They were like, "Why are you like, why? Oh, I'm gonna destroy everything." And then especially at the end when like they just put the dude's mask into the eternal flame, and she came back and she's like, "Oh shit!" Like that's funny, but like the rest of the time she's just like mercilessly killing some dude. And what was that? The horrible acting.
Japanese accent.
Oh my god, what was that in the middle of? I know that guy's been in like the previous Thor movies.
Yeah, he's like a regular in the Thor franchise.
Yeah.
Zachary Levi was in this movie?
Was he?
I don't know who Fandral was, but Zachary Levi was in this movie. Sorry.
Well, okay. What did we think of the Return of the Hulk? Because we haven't seen Hulk since...
That sounds like a movie in and of itself.
We haven't seen Hulk since what? The original? Or no, the second Avengers
Civil
movie.
War.
It's been probably about
No, he wasn't in Civil War.
2 years.
Didn't he fly off at the end of Civil War?
I think Age of Ultron was the last movie.
Age of Ultron was.
Was it Ultron?
Yeah, because he asked in this.
It was one of the Avengers.
He asked in this movie.
It was one of the team up films. I remember that.
So what did we think of Hulk / Mark Ruffalo in this?
I liked Hulk better.
Hulk was hilarious, and Mark Ruffalo. No, I like both of them. I like what they're doing with the Hulk character. It makes sense that, I mean, like the Hulk can talk now, even though he didn't really talk before this film.
Yeah. He's getting
I mean, he's
been Hulk for 2 years. So if you're living like that for 2 years, you're probably going to be able to.
You're going to pick up some things along the way.
I don't know. I thought the actual Hulk was hilarious.
Yeah.
Him and Thor together are hilarious,
I just love the contrast of Thor going back and forth between Hulk and Banner. He's like, "No, you've always been my favorite," and then as soon as it switches again, "No, you're my favorite. You're the best." Like
using that Norse charisma to win over his friends.
Norse charisma.
The best part is like after he turns into Mark Ruffalo again, he's just walking around
after he turns back into Mark Ruffalo.
Thor's just following him around the entire planet, just like the sun's going down. The sun's going down. Hey, it's getting dark, guys.
Like, you're never gonna have to think about the Hulk again, and then there's a festival for Hulk just going on.
Bruce Banner's just like, what is this? What have I done?
So let's talk about Loki a little bit. His redemption / not redemption. Loki for me fell into the exact same role that he does in every single Thor movie and every movie he's in, where I'm good, or no, he starts out I'm bad, I'm good, I'm bad, I'm good, I'm bad. I might be a little bit good, and that's the end of the film.
I think these characters are. They may feel two-dimensional to us, and I can understand why we would want three-dimensional characters because it makes for a better story. But I feel like they stuck to their Norse god roles as how you would expect them to play out. So I would have wanted three-dimensional characters as well to see two sides of why they're doing things, but it plays out as you would expect if you're reading this from a Norse mythology standpoint. Loki's never gonna be the good guy fully.
Yeah.
Hela's never gonna want more than just to take over Asgard and kill everything.
But I feel like Marvel has this leeway they can use with like their source material in a way that like my thing is, if you're making a movie like this and something that's comical and obviously like it's a superhero film, right? Like you have leeway in what your source material is. It's like I don't think it's stemming into the video game realm, but I don't think God of War next year is going to be 100% completely accurate to Norse mythology.
Oh no, I wouldn't expect anything to be, because Norse mythology isn't even accurate to itself.
Yeah, so but I just like, if it would have made for a better story, I totally would have liked Loki. Maybe Loki dies here, you know, like really dies, not just fake dies like in
hasn't he fake died like 2 times at this point? Like we thought he died at the end of the first Thor.
But this is the thing that I'm saying, like everything is so predictable. Like he's good, he's bad, he's good, he's bad, he's good, he's bad. We leave him in some place where either he's dead or he's lost to some time warp or some world.
I liked when Doctor Strange just put him in like the
I forget what falling for 30 minutes.
I forget what the Doctor Strange realm is called. The other dimension, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I felt like
strange world.
Doctor Strange they were like his ragdolls. And he as the eventual Sorcerer Supreme, I like how he just played with them how he wanted. He's like, hey, what are you doing on my planet? Go away now, thanks.
Yeah.
The ever-filling beer.
No, with Loki, he's one of those characters that I think he was done extremely well in the first Thor movie, but since then he's been in this is the 3rd film he's been in since then. He was in the first Avengers, he's in the second Thor, and then this Thor.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
He was also in the second, so he was in the original Thor, the second Thor. The first Avengers, and he was in the second Avengers a little bit because he was in the glass thing or whatever. Or was that where he was faking as Odin already?
I don't know. I don't know when the second Thor movie came out.
Yeah. The second Thor movie came out 2013.
Because I think Age of Ultron was 2015.
Yeah.
So
but I don't
think he had.
But that meant he must have already been faking as Odin.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Obviously, not that memorable if we can't even recall.
Well, the second Thor is by far the worst movie.
I mean,
terrible.
The first Thor was great. Second Thor could have done without it.
It didn't have a direction. Yeah. Like, it didn't know what it was doing.
I understand the Lost. I mean, hey, it kind of sticks with the title. The Lost World, the Lost movie, has no direction whatsoever. So.
Puns.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to make connections here. Where they
that was a good job, man.
Wow. All right. Anything else we want to talk about in terms of characters? Something that stuck out to us?
Should we touch on Valkyrie at all?
I mean, we can.
I feel like we should have seen more of her.
I didn't think her backstory is super interesting. There was nothing expanded upon that. She was just the drunk that stopped being a drunk for a little bit so that she could help save the world.
I mean, she never stopped being a drunk. Let's be.
I'm about to say she continued to drink.
But it's another she's another character archetype we've seen before. Like there was nothing special or new about it.
I mean, this was a very like straightforward movie. You weren't going to get any surprises, which allowed them to do more with like the dialogue, which I appreciate.
Yeah. No, it didn't feel like this movie was focused on making a great movie. It was focused on making a funny movie.
Yeah.
An entertaining movie.
And I appreciate that.
It felt like the definition of a blockbuster popcorn movie. It's just that's like when that's done well, you get Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
It felt like a comedy movie with action injected, which I appreciate because it was done very well.
Mm-hmm. The 80s aesthetic is great. The comedy tone
and let me tell you,
fantastic.
The cinematography.
Can I just say that the fact that they included the 80s kind of bothers me a little bit because I feel like they're just trying to take advantage of something that's super popular.
Oh, if John was here, let me take the place of John.
Like, it's
nostalgia. No, hey, remember old?
It's just like I don't mind it if it makes sense, but I just don't feel like it makes sense in it all fitting into this movie.
Yeah,
it's like
it doesn't make sense whatsoever.
And it's like you hear this one part of the soundtrack at like multiple points. It almost sounds exactly like the Stranger Things intro.
I heard Walking Dead as well.
Yeah.
When they're fighting in the arena, it's like...
I'm like, you don't just include the 80s for the sake of, oh, hey, 80s.
I mean, I appreciated it, but it doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, and it's like the fact that it doesn't make sense and they're just including it to kind of like, oh, hey, 80s, kind of... It bothers me a little bit. It's not like anything major. It just bothers me a little bit.
I mean, I think it just fit in with what the rest of the movie was, which was just this thing that wasn't a normal...
It was like an 80s buddy cop film.
It was like, it was 80s buddy cop. I mean, technically it is, yeah. Thor and Hulk and all that.
Yeah.
But no, it was a fun movie. It wasn't.
It was more Thor and Loki, not Thor and Hulk.
Oh, excuse me, sorry.
Yeah, I mean Hulk was in like half of the movie, but Loki was in the entire movie. So.
Okay, all right.
I mean, sorry, I sidetracked you so much.
I apologize. No, I totally know what you're saying. I appreciate the movie for this, like I said for the third time, like a lighthearted romp, a summer blockbuster in November. But I'm still going to criticize the story for it because I think it could have been done better.
Yeah.
So that's what we're here to do. We're just here to analyze. We're here to talk about it.
I like the brief science moment that they injected once they got all of the. They got Valkyrie, they got Thor, they got Bruce Banner, and they're like, so how do we get out of here?
The Devil's Anus.
We go through the Devil's Anus. Hey, that looks like an Einstein-Rosen bridge, which is basically just a wormhole. But I appreciate the science the slight science when they're talking about what ship they kind of need. What it needs to be able to do.
Thank you, sir, for that 2 seconds of science. Phil Knight thanks you.
I mean,
very much appreciated.
It's like the I think it was in the first Thor movie where they just said people believe they're gods, but they're just a super advanced civilization with obviously some god powers because Thor channels thunder.
Don't they call themselves gods? Like, because
Yeah.
didn't they say like Hela's the goddess of death?
I feel like they just abandoned the whole. Hey, we're super advanced, and now they're just like, yeah, we're gods.
Because they've been alive for millions of years. Didn't they say like Odin like cast Hela out like 500,000 years ago or something? Like,
Asgardians have a really long lifespan. Don't judge.
You look good for being 2 million years old.
Right?
Oh, don't be an Asgardian.
Are we gonna see? Well, obviously we're gonna see Thor as like king of Asgard, but are we gonna see him?
What?
You just said Asgard, so that's what I thought.
Oh, yes.
But
King
are we
of
gonna see
the Asgardians.
him like? So let's talk about those end credit scenes. Also, at the end of the movie.
Grandmaster end credit scene was good, funny, not worth waiting all the way through the credits.
Absolutely not worth waiting. Well, just because it was Jeff Goldblum, I'll give him a pass.
He's like, hey, everyone needs a part in the revolution.
But then
I'm glad I could be your spark.
we'll call it a tie.
We'll call it a tie.
Thor being the king of the Asgardians, and he's bringing his what's left of his civilization back to Earth for whatever reason, because they're not going to be able to colonize Earth because it already has its own civilization. So I don't know what he was planning there.
It's going to land in the middle of New York. Hey, this is ours now.
I would like to see where they go.
Have you seen all that free land in Montana that needs to be done up? Great space. Great space.
But then we also have the very end credit scene where they're flying towards Earth, and I couldn't really see it because it was kind of dark, but it just looked like an indiscriminate ship. We all thought it was going to be Thanos, but
no, it was like a planet swallowing ship is what it looked like. It looked like the ship,
like something from Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, it looks like the ship from Destiny that literally ate planets.
Well, yeah,
but it does look like a Guardians of the Galaxy ship.
I talked to you guys about this last night. That leaked Comic-Con trailer for Infinity Wars.
Oh,
you kind of know what that ship's going to end up.
Wait, don't say anything.
I'm not going to say anything, but I
so
kind of
you
know
know
the direction
something
I was
we
going.
don't know.
Yeah.
So when you hear the spoiler cast for that in like a year,
hey,
tune in
yeah.
to that. Anyway, any final thoughts, guys, before we wrap it up? Not related to Infinity War.
I'm excited for Infinity War.
Oh wow, thanks, Billy.
Yeah.
Really?
I'd go see it again. I'm probably going to go see it again.
I probably will. Yeah.
Maybe for $5. Wrapping this up, I have been Logan Anstead,
Brandon Diaz,
Billy Gillane,
and we'll see you guys next time on Spinnaker Spoilercasts. Thanks for listening.